It's time for the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. And now, presenting the reigning, defending, undisputed combat sports show champion of the world, Flash Knockdown.
So your eventual opponent for the title was Leon Williams, the Budo featherweight champion, and a completely different challenge to the one posed by Conor. Once again, you made it look easy, earning a TKO victory in the first round. What did it mean to you to be crowned champion and exactly a year since your competitive debut?
Yeah, the fact that it was a year, that was a good thing.
Yeah,
I'd like to
exactly
see
a year.
I don't know if many people have gone from debutant to title fight in a year, and especially the way that I did it. I think being so active, I had some good fights getting there, so it kind of capped off that first year of amateur MMA and really kind of rewarded me for the past 12 months of hard work.
Yeah. And talking about that hard work, Teddy, that marked your 6th fight in 12 months. You are one of the most active fighters, perhaps the most active fighter. How important is that cage time experience?
Good. Yeah, I think it's the most important thing. Whoever spends the longest amount of time in the cage is always going to have that advantage. As long as you're not in there taking unnecessary punishment, every extra minute in the cage is a win. So I think, like you referred to me being one of the most active fighters, there's no one really with the drive and to compete as active as me. I've always just have a competitive spark in me, and I'm training like I'm in fight camp. So why not have a fight to actually aim for? So I always like to be competitive and rack up as many minutes of cage time and gym time as possible.
You're certainly doing that. And that moves us into 2020 now, Teddy, which started in impressive fashion with your armbar submission in your rematch with Mike Thompson at UKFC 13. First of all, any apprehension on your part, bearing in mind Mike was coming off 2 quick finishes, the last being a 60-second KO?
No.
Oh, wow.
Ever since that first fight with Mike Thompson,
yeah,
I've just been desperate for that fight. Every day I come to training, I was just kind of imagining punching him in the face again, because it frustrated me so much, that first fight. So he performed well against some other guys, but I've been in there. I felt his power. I felt his skill set. So I felt even more confident going into that fight, because I just knew that the amount that I'd improved over the year, that the fight would look so different.
Yeah. His nickname is Lefty. What is that left hook like?
Well, you know, I don't know if I've just got a big fat head and I can take a shot, but it's, yeah, I wouldn't personally say that it's as hard as it looks, but it's just, if he lands a clean shot on you, it'll hurt you like anyone. But the way it looks in some of the videos, you can watch someone do a knockout and you're like, oh, don't want to get hit with that. But in reality, I think the threat of the takedown, the timing and the way every shot he could land on me never meant that I felt it in full force. So hopefully if there's a trilogy, I don't have to feel that left hook again.
No. And did the second time, Teddy, against Mike Thompson mean more, as there was a belt on the line?
Yeah, it adds to it, doesn't it? The fact that it's a rematch, it's got a belt on the line, the pressure, it was 5 rounds, it completely amplified from the first fight. So that just kind of helped rise to the occasion a little bit more and kind of get the show and the stakes much higher. And that's what I love. I love pressure. I love the higher stakes. Every little bit of pressure I can squeeze out of a fight, I want it on me.
Excellent. And watching both fights back, Teddy, a significant difference in this one was the gains in your physical strength allowed you to dictate and control your opponent. Would that be a fair observation? And do you feel you're now developing that man strength?
Yeah, man strength's a real thing. You know, it's
100%.
something that just over time, your grips and everything kind of develop.
Exactly.
So perhaps that was a factor. I think I probably had an edge on the strength than what I previously had. But for me, skill-wise, I think that was a big thing. I didn't just take him down. I took him down and worked him for every single minute.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And no nut shots.
No nut shots this time. Yeah. Caught me off guard early on. You know, it catches you off guard. You're just trying to fight, and then all of a sudden, boom. So it was painful as always, but you just got to shake it off and get back to it.
Oh God. And the watching crowd, Teddy, was getting really excited and making such a racket. Great atmosphere. Do you miss that? And were you someone who used to feed off the energy from the crowds?
Yeah, I miss that for sure. Crowds just make it really separates it from a casual spar in the gym to this is it. So like you say, the cramps getting amped up, the crowd getting amped up for that. They were like, everyone was trying to get them to sit down. They were coming up to the cage side,
walking up to
and loving it. Yeah, so all of that, when you look back at the video, it just adds to everything.
Yeah. And talk us through the transition to armbar as he was in your guard midway through the second rounds.
Yeah, so at the start of the second round, I slid off an armbar from his back and ended up on the bottom. And it was just he was starting to posture up and throw strikes, and it was worth eating a strike or two just to control his posture and pop up for that armbar. And I've got constant threat from my guard. So when I popped up for that armbar, I had it latched on, and my coaches were shouting, "Break it, Teddy, break his arm." So that's what I tried to do. And you've got to be that ruthless when you're in a fight.
Yeah, but thankfully he tapped.
Yeah, thankfully for his own health, he tapped.
He tapped. And you could see the emotions pouring out of you at the end, Teddy. Try and sum up how you were feeling.
Yeah, that was the best I've ever felt after a fight. It was, like I said, I've been thinking about that fight for a whole year, just dreaming of getting that fight back. So the emotions flooded in. It was like, I've ticked that one off. That's not the notch on my record anymore. I've sorted that loss out, so I can just put it in the past.
Yeah. And would you describe that as your best moments in your MMA career?
Yeah, I think it's up there. Like with the crowd, with the belt on the line, it kind of gives it that edge over some other fights. I mean, I've enjoyed all the fights that I've had since, like with Connor, with Mark, but there's something about having the crowd there, having a belt on the line that amplifies it.
Exactly. So you just mentioned Connor. Let's conclude your flashlights by looking at your most recent fight and victory against the Ice King himself, Connor Hughes. He was looking at this fight as an opportunity to break in the top 5. Where did you feel a win over Connor could do for you?
Rankings wise, I think he was kind of overlooked a little bit. He was ranked something like 20th, but Connor 24. Was one of the guys that everyone rated who knew about amateur MMA, and he was someone I'd always looked at and thought I'll probably have to fight him at some point because he's a good guy in the lightweight division. So like after our first fight got cancelled, it was inevitable, but it was someone to tick off and say I beat him, because it's always annoying if a fight falls through and you've just got that there. You've prepared for that opponent. So it was good to just finally take that fight off. Yeah.
And as we touched on earlier in the show, 12 months prior, you were both initially matched for the vacant UKFC title until Connor pulled out due to injury. And you just mentioned it there once again, Teddy. You were always confident that the two of you would eventually meet, wasn't you?
Yeah. There's that certain talent pool of people in amateur MMA that you know eventually if you want to get to the top, you're going to meet these people. So
exactly,
we're all going to fight each other eventually.
Yeah, very similar to Marcus Lewis.
Yeah, Yeah, he's one that just kind of seems to evade me, but eventually we'll get there. Hopefully,
it's gonna happen. Yeah, and hopefully, our Almighty, I'll speak to Ray and see what I can do.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind pinching the second belt. I think it'd be nice having 2 on the shoulders. So,
yeah,
Almighty sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think the only problem with Almighty is that there's a couple of competitors ahead of you. So you've obviously got Kyle Jones and you've got Tommy Coyle.
Right. Were they slated to get the belt before all this happened? Right.
Yeah, the shot. Yeah.
I think
that's the issue. And because they've both competed on Almighty in the past, I think he's just trying to stay loyal.
Yeah, I get that. I understand why, but I mean, if Ray watches my fights and looks at my record, I think he knows that I'll beat Marcus.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, you know what? That's a fight I would really love to see, man.
Yeah.
Well done to you, Teddy. Yeah. I love it. I love your attitude, my man. I really do.
Thanks, mate.
Very good. Very good. Very rare to come across, I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where'd you get your confidence from? Is it all of the hard work you do in training? Your coaches, people around you?
It's probably just me a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I think the hard work, my coaches, you just you start to realize in yourself, if you put the work in, then you'll be confident in yourself. And I would never come on here and say all this if I didn't truly believe it myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, you've definitely got the credentials to back it up. So then coming back to the Conor fight, was the game plan to close the distance and use your grappling ability to diffuse his striking strength?
Yeah, I think looking at that fight stylistically, it's karate striker versus grappler. So he knew I was going to come and try and take him down. Yeah, and I knew I was going to do that. It's the way it goes in a fight, but he can know. But yeah, he couldn't stop it. But he had very good takedown defense, so it made me work a little bit more on it, and it was what we expected. So a lot of the takedowns that I eventually got him with was stuff that we'd worked on from looking at him, because we knew he was going to come in. He's got a very good whizzer and just chill against the cage. Very energy efficient takedown defense. So
yeah, Ray Thompson from Almighty, he mentioned something similar about Conor.
Yeah. It's probably one of his biggest strengths is just he's very good at chilling on the cage and defending the takedowns. But the only problem is he's saving his energy, but he's losing the fight there. So eventually he gave me the opportunity to take him down and start scoring those points against him.
Yeah. So then on that note, as he ended the last round on top, Teddy, and bearing in mind the previous split decisions that didn't go your way, was there any nervousness before hearing the final scorecards?
Yeah, you'll have probably seen when they read out the scores. I was very relieved, but I blame Tom, who was cornering me. I came into after the second round, and I was like, "What's the scores? Do you reckon?" And he went, "I don't know, maybe 1-1."
Just so what you need to hear.
Yeah, he'd obviously been coaching me, but not scoring it. So I said I trusted him on that.
Tom.
So yeah, disappointing from him there. But we went into the third round. And
you know what, Teddy? That's a sackable offence.
It is. I gave him a final warning on that.
Good.
He's going to have to sort his scoring out for future events. But yeah, I went into that third round and I think I won the first 50%, but it's just that finishing on the bottom that it kind of planted that seed in my head. I thought, if I've lost this now because of that, but upon reviewing the fight, the first 2 rounds were mine easily. So
yeah. And now on to 2021 and the challenges that lie in weights. The first question is whether you'll feature on the Celtic Gladiator cards scheduled at the end of January, and if so, any news you can share?
Yeah, so my name's been put forward for that. I've not been matched as of yet, so we'll see if any names float about for that. I'm ready for that show if I can get on it. I've just been nursing a little injury over the past few weeks, but I'm getting back into sparring at the moment, so I'll take a fight on 2 weeks' notice if anything falls out or whatever. So As of yet, nothing on that, but I'm planning to try and get on that.
Okay, but yeah, so you're fit, healthy, and available.
Fit, healthy, and available for sure.
Okay, but you've still not been matched, even though it's only 5 weeks or so out.
No. I think some of the lads from a gym that I train at have been matched yet, so they've been matched already. So
okay,
I don't know if they're still searching for the right opponent for me.
yeah, perhaps. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I mean,
Exactly.
obviously, I want the toughest fights possible, but if there's some young guy or anyone who thinks, looking up at the rankings and looking at me as the champ and thinks he can beat me, I welcome them to come and try because I'll fight anyone, regardless of their record.
Wow. All right. So it shouldn't be hard to find you a match.
No.
Okay, so
like I said, the answer is always yes.
The man from Del Monte. So, so in March, UKFC is expected to return, and where we may finally see you defend your lightweight crown against Liam McCracken, my guest on episode 11, and the current featherweight champion. Do you feel, as his featherweight belt isn't on the line, all of the pressure's on you?
Yeah, it's kind of on the line, really, isn't it? I mean, I'm tempted to say, "What, chuck me down to featherweight? I'll do the horrible weight cut, and we'll put both belts on the line." But
wow,
it's scheduled for lightweight, so we may as well run it out at lightweight, and I'll be the uncrowned featherweight king as well. But the pressure is on both of us, really, because neither one of us wants to lose that fight.
Yeah, and just again on that point then, Teddy, so in an interview you did with UKFC and before the James Seddon fight in 2018, you predicted that you would one day claim the UKFC featherweight belt, take over both divisions before moving to the pros. Does a fight with Liam at featherweight still interest you?
Yeah, I could just about squeeze featherweight. I think we've had this discussion before with some of my coaches, and I don't quite like the idea of going to featherweight anymore unless I'm getting paid for it. So at amateur, it's a fight that I would maybe go for say if I beat Liam and it's a close fight, you want to rematch, go do it at featherweight.
Yeah,
maybe that's an option, but I'd love to have both of those belts, but I don't think it's quite worth it.
Champ status. Yeah, that's priceless.
It is for sure. I mean, I've got to get that picture with both belts on my shoulders. That's something I've been visualizing. So the young me that predicted that I'd go and get both belts was thinking of the same picture with me with both belts. So
I'm gonna wrap one on one shoulder, I'm gonna wrap the other on the other shoulder, and you're gonna need a fucking army to come take them belts off me.
One day we'll get champ status.
Absolutely. And then you got to ask Brian, how do I look?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And is the pressure of being the champion something you thrive on, as some people can find the life as a champion pretty exhausting?
Yeah, it's I like it. It's no different really. You just got a little bit more of a target on your back, and whoever they offer, they're the people that you're going to fight. But I want those fights anyway, if regardless of being the champion. So the only real difference is 5 rounds, and you just got a little bit more of a target on your back. But that's the kind of stuff that I like.
Okay. And coming back to the potential matchup with Liam, you're both 2 high-level grapplers. Can the temptation sometimes be to move away from what you're good at and show everyone the gains you've made elsewhere?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the fight plays out with us both being grappling heavy. You see it a lot in high level, like Ben Askren versus Damian Maia was a striking match for the first couple of rounds. So hopefully we have some good grappling exchanges in the fight. Hopefully we have some good striking exchanges in the fight, and I can kind of show how well-rounded I am, because I every time I come to fight, I'm like, right, let's show off your striking a little bit more, Ted. And it's the easiest path to victory is just take them down and choke them out. So why would I not do that?
Of course not. You don't get paid by the minute, do you?
Exactly. Exactly. If they want to pay me
pointless.
by the minute, I might put on
That's
a little bit
different.
more of a performance.
That's different. Exactly. So Liam was someone you got to know during the Worlds in Bahrain. He spoke to me about some of the nights out you had there.
Not the years as well. I know I went to Bahrain. When I went to Bahrain, both of us were on Team England. So we both got robbed in the first round as well. So we had a few little nights out and that together. So I know he's a good kid, but I'm gonna have to get it, isn't he?
Any stories that you do share, keep them clean.
Yeah,
Boys on tour.
Boys on tour for sure. We both got bummed with rubbish decisions on the first day, so we were there for the remainder of the trip. So why not go and experience a bit of Bahrain's nightlife? So we had a few good nights out, and Liam's a good lad, so
yeah, he is.
We had a good laugh and hit up some of Bahrain's bars and had some fun.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it there. And
yeah.
And finally, then Teddy, any upcoming prospects at your gym that we may get to hear about in the near future?
Yeah, there's plenty of good guys that I train with. It's hard to single one out. I will say, we mentioned him before, Tom, who coaches me, Tom Somerset. He's the number one guy who could absolutely tear up any amateur and a lot of pros, but he's not necessarily a competitor. He's someone who likes to train and is fit year round. But if Tom stuck it into a second gear and actually wanted to compete, he would have all the titles. He'd be pro on Cage Warriors. He could easily make a beeline for the UFC if he wanted. He's such a talented kid, but he prefers to eat food and just train.
Wow. Can you blame him?
I can't blame him. I'm jealous of him at times.
Exactly. There you go. That's why he does it.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other guys that I train with over at Fourth Dimension and Sheffield Shoot who are like competitive amateurs, and I think a lot of them will go on to make a name for themselves.
Excellent. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing them do that. So, Teddy, we now reach the final segment of the show, and that is called Flash Fives. So I will ask you the following 5 questions, Teddy, and very simply, you give me your best answer. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Excellent, Teddy. So first one, who would you love to compete against, either dead or alive?
Tricky question, this one, but
Sure.
The one that I always come back to is Khabib. I think is someone that I try and emulate a lot with my style, and just the experience of getting in there with him. By no means do I think I would do well against Khabib, but I would certainly love to experience and see how long I could last.
Yeah, because he's the benchmark.
He's the benchmark. One day people will be talking about me like that, hopefully. But he's someone that I'd certainly love to have a round with, have a fight with, and just kind of experience that level.
Okay, and do you feel he's retired, or do you think he'll come back for that 30-0?
I doubt he'll come back for that 30-0, but if Dana can tease him to do one more fight, I'd love to see him come in against GSP or something like that.
Yeah, me too. That's the fight that's got to happen.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. Both of them out of retirement for one last
hurrah.
Yeah, one last hurrah.
Yeah. Okay. Your ideal way, I could probably guess this, your ideal way to finish an opponent.
It's going to be a submission. I don't discriminate against any submission. So
any.
I love the feeling of making someone tap. It's the ultimate control.
Yeah,
so
it's the ultimate. Yeah.
I'd probably go for a heel hook at the moment. I feel like I mentioned earlier, once I go pro, I feel like heel hooks will be something that I'll have on my record and get a couple nice wins from that. But any submission will do me nicely.
And the best combat sports fight you've seen?
Yeah, I'm struggling for an answer on this one. There's so many good fights that I've watched. Let me try and pick One of the best fights that I've seen. I like Rory Mcdonald versus Robbie Lawler.
Number 2, obviously.
Number 2, yeah.
Oh.
Number 2. That I watched that not too long ago, and just it was such like a back and forth fight, and even the sequence when Rory gets hit with that last shot, and you can just tell that he doesn't want to quit, but he just physically hasn't got it in him. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The thing is about that fight, it started off very slow. So the first round and a half was almost nothing, and then
it just built into just an absolute brawl.
Madness. Yeah, great answer. Love that answer. Yeah, brilliant fight.
Yeah.
So go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be in one of those fights personally, but to watch, they're the best kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great answer. What superpower would you choose to have, Teddy?
I don't know. I've been watching The Boys on Amazon Prime, which is
season
a
1
little
or 2?
bit. I've watched both of them recently, and that's got me thinking a little bit. To be honest, I think you won't be able to beat like being able to fly or something like that. Yeah, the bloke Homelander in that, he's just got it nailed. He's got about 10 different powers. So if I could be like that, that'd be all right.
So flying, yeah.
Yeah, flying. I'll go for that.
Okay, great
just
answer.
Whiz around everywhere.
Absolutely. And the best finish to a fight you have seen?
It's tricky. There's so many good finishers, but one that I like is Bryce Mitchell when he got a twister. I think he's got a twister twice, and it was the second time he got it. I think that was one of my favourites because the whole fight, the grappling exchanges were awesome, and it's such a rare submission. The way he sets it up, that's probably up there with one of my favourites.
Right, so you appreciate the rare submissions.
Yeah. He's a fighter that I really like watching. So he's a bit of someone who's slept on, but I like his style.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of others. I mean, an obvious one is Khabib's finish against Justin Gaethje not too long ago. That's another one that I rate highly up there. Just so well-rounded and a nice triangle, which is kind of, for people who've watched a lot of Khabib's career, in his early days, he was nailing everyone with triangles. So it's a bit of a throwback win. Yeah.
And what about Charles Oliveira?
Yeah, I love Charles Oliveira. I wish he got that armbar against Tony Ferguson a couple of weeks back. That would have probably been my favourite finish because the way he snapped that on was beautiful.
Yeah. Would you say he's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in all of MMA?
Yeah. Probably in terms of pure jiu-jitsu, he's up there. And I think he poses a lot of threats for that lightweight division. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised. Everyone looks at Conor and Poirier and all those guys, Gaethje at the top, but I think someone who's slept on, Oliveira, could come and take that belt.
Yeah, for me, he's apart from Khabib, not sure if he's retired or not, but for me, Oliveira is the best lightweight.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, best lightweight for sure. Okay, well, thank you again, Teddy. That brings us to the end of the show. How did you enjoy that overall?
Thanks, mate. It was a great show. Loved it. I loved the detail on some of those questions. It kind of took me down memory lane and brought back some good memories.
Thank you very much. It takes two to tango.
Yeah. Thank you for being my dance partner.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone, the viewers, for joining Teddy and I on episode 14 of Flash Knockdown. And in the words of Bruce Buffer, the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. Thank you to everyone, and thank you to Teddy.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Teddy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.